Yes. Hey there, we are live.
Hello, how are y'all doing? Welcome back. I'm Dr. Stephanie Ganter, and this is Dr. Bob McNeill. You can call me Steph. What can we call you?
Whatever you want.
Perfect. Awesome. Put some names in the drop down chat menu in the comments.
Do
I'll be
not.
excited to see
Do not.
these. All right, so what are we talking about today?
We're between two teeth.
Are we between
We got to
two teeth?
say that all the time.
Hey, there
Between
it
two
is.
teeth, I'm
Awesome.
still holding.
Oh, well. Is it a heavy tooth over there? What
It's
is
actually
that?
fairly light.
Is this a?
We're not going to say.
It's a light.
We're not going to
Okay.
say. It's inside joke. I feel so underdressed. Look at you all
Oh.
dressed up. Fantastic. Looking real fancy.
Thank you so
Very
much.
good, very good. Well, we've had a long day today, or somewhat long day in practice. We're in practice together. I'm an oral maxillofacial surgeon. She is a periodontist and dental implant surgeon. And today we are going to talk about a bunch of things, direct patient care, and specifically, we're going to talk about timeouts. Do you know what a timeout is?
Are you saying that because I'm a perfect child and perfect children never get put in timeout, so you'd never know?
No, not at all.
Is this like a timeout? Like we need to take a timeouts aren't in baseball, right?
So
They're,
from
as in out in baseball.
from a safety culture standpoint of treating patients in the office, a timeout can be critical. Your individual state may have various rules that you've got to do. In Texas, where we are, if we do certain types of sedation, that's mandated we do a timeout. But in general, as clinicians, as dentists, anytime we do anything, I'm firmly of the belief that we need to do a timeout.
So what I hear you say is before any procedure you do, you will pause everything and everyone before you pick up the anesthetic, salute anesthetic syringe, and before you start your procedure, you are going to do something called
Yes.
a timeout.
And that's been done in hospitals for a while now,
Absolutely.
where we get everyone on the team like you talked about. But I think you have to figure out operationally what's going to work in your practice. And it can be multi-layered. What you don't want to do, you don't want to do the wrong procedure. That's a big deal. And that's kind of a common occurrence. Both of us remove teeth, and removal of the incorrect tooth is the number one sort of frequency claim from a malpractice standpoint.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. And so I would say in our practice, for instance, our staff are the ones that initiate the timeout, and you want to do it in a certain way. If you just say, "Oh, Dr. Stephanie, what are we doing for you today?"
Right. Well, this is where part of you can do a timeout so many different ways, like
Well,
you're
but I
saying.
know, but that's the
That's what
wrong
you're
way. I don't want
right.
to pause there.
No, I know. I hear you on that. But the
Okay.
other thing is, I think we should start delving into how we do our timeout. What do we do? Whiteboard, things like that.
Gotcha.
Go.
Okay. And so
Be
we
concise.
don't say so. Well, that's hard for me to be concise.
I'm seeing.
We don't say, "What are we doing for you today?" No, because then the patient thinks you have no clue what you're doing. So in your own words, Mrs. Jones, can you tell us what we're doing for you today? Just part of a safety check, something that's going to roll off your tongue. They are asked that question. That's confirmed with some of the paperwork that we have there. The patient's moved into the operatory. We have a timeout board on the wall. One of those things you see that you can dry erase mark, and it has the patient's name, the procedure.
And I'm going to stop you right there because I know, I'm so sorry.
I was on a flow.
I know you're on a flow, but this is very important. And this is something that when I was in residency training, we didn't have this. Got into your practice. I love it. And I think you might have gotten this out of the hospital system.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And it's the dry erase board. There's a kind of, is it a glass screen over it?
Glass
it's basically
screen.
so you can wipe down the screen and just keep rewriting. It's a dry erase board.
And we've got things in the back that kind of have outline,
right.
name, and past medical history.
So I've had patients actually compliment me on this idea. It's not my idea, but I take the compliment.
Here's what we used to do. In my old practice, before we moved, we had those, you've probably never seen it, a view box. I got to sneeze.
So
we had a view box, so we would write.
I'm going to cut you off though, because this is the thing. So the reason the dry erase board is so critical is because it's big letters on a big whiteboard for the operator and the patient to see. Now, that's not as important for the patient to read, but the staff. Communication between your staff. I can't tell you how many clerical errors happen from referrals to offices, all of these things between our own staff members, between me, between you,
And
all
with
of
our
this is
software system,
communication.
the challenge with software systems, and when I moved from paper to electronic, we used to have one sheet of paper that had the important things. What do I need to know for that surgery without having to go through multiple layers of papers or
Are you
parts in the
talking
chart?
about a checklist that's required by the Texas State Dental Board of Examiners?
No, I'm talking about something actually a little bit different where it's just, we use it in our office, the red box. Pertinent things, history of seizure, patients on Coumadin, patient has an allergy. So all those pertinent things are on the board, plus the
I love it.
procedure. The main thing I want to get to, though, the ultimate responsibility of doing the right procedure lies on whom in the dental office?
Absolutely the owner.
The doctor. The doctor is the one. And so being comfortable with what is going to flow well off your tongue. Hi, Mrs. Jones. Before we start, can you let me know in your own words what you think
And
we're
can I
doing
pause you
today?
there too? From a new doc's perspective, we are trained in dentistry or in dental school from the get-go that it is the practitioner's responsibility. But this doesn't really hit home until you have a clerical error that almost makes you have a big mistake at the office.
Yeah.
And until you've had a close call God forbid, an actual failed outcome, it doesn't hit home.
Right.
And this is where communication is vital.
And it's super tough when you first start in a new practice,
I mean, 'cause
especially if you're a new practitioner.
there's so many
Everything's
moving
different.
parts.
There's so many moving parts, and that's why, from an MBA perspective, looking at things from an operational management standpoint, my MBA was healthcare specific and talking about having multiple layers in there for safety checks. And you and I have kind of talked a bunch about that. But having that final pause with the patient, just tell me in your own words what we're doing for you.
And here's
today.
where things get missed. And I love that point is from an operational management perspective, but here's a
Do you love
management.
Yeah.
But here's the other perspective as well is micromanagement.
Right.
And as a leader on your team, you have to trust your team to do certain things. We see a lot of patients in our practice. Other practices are busy as well. Where things fall apart is when the system fails you.
Right. And especially when you have multiple layers
And it's important.
and multiple layers.
And as any new doc out there, when you go into an office, understand the system and understand how heavily you are relying on that system and where you're relying on it.
And know when you can go fast and know when you've got to hit the pause button. To wrap things up, and I'm glad you talked about a bunch of the points you did. When you have a near miss, use that as an opportunity.
What do we use in our office when there's a near miss?
We actually have a safety sheet that we go through. And I think it's just something we found online that kind of puts out the details, what happened. Was your protocol where your systems followed or were they not followed? If your systems were followed, is that a problem with the systems that you have in place? Do it in not a finger pointing kind of way, but do it as let's look at see what happened. And how can we prevent this?
And this is a really cool thing that we do at our office. Again, something that we didn't really do in residency, but I found helpful because whether it's me making the mistake or a team member making the mistake, we all get together as an office and go through this safety checklist. Yeah. And it isn't meant to call out names or specific people, but it's meant to identify our system failing and why it failed.
And to know and have that in your practice ethos of we're going to develop a culture of safety. And it has to do with timeouts like we're talking about. I think our initial video talked about local anesthetic issues and epinephrine issues and safety associated with that. Being as safe as you can, that's what patients expect in practice. That's what keeps you out of issues state board wise as well.
Oh, absolutely. So, I'm going to highlight one more thing before we're running out of time here. One of the cool things we also do at our practice that I really enjoy is we write on the x-rays, and these are digital x-rays. And so these are red lines that we kind of mark on teeth, and it seems silly, but even putting a big no on a tooth that's not coming out, it is great.
That's smart.
And it's very
Wicked
smart. And we circle teeth that are coming out, and it just helps out. It seems dumb at the time.
It helps us,
but it helps us out
from an informed consent standpoint. We're taking out wisdom teeth. We're drawing the inferior nerve.
We draw the nerve right there.
Drawing the sinus cavity. If you have an untoward event, patient has a paresthesia, you've got documented evidence. You drew that out for the patient. I love it. Touch screens are awesome. Thank you all for joining us. Did you have something else to say, or
I wanted to thank everyone for tuning in?
Show them the moon boots.
Oh, the moon boots.
She's got moon boots. You got this. You can do it. There we go. She's kicking it old school. Thank you. If you like what we do,
please subscribe to our channel, and
we
also
finally have more than your mom.
And leave comments below. The more creative the comments, the better.
Well, do we want to give them that
as far as names
artistic,
for you? What adjust you in our next step? That's what I want to know.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Keep doing what you do.
I'm
Culture
Steph.
of safety.
This is Bob. We're between two teeth. Thanks, guys.